Hello everybody, welcome to another video. I am a bit ill, so I sound a bit different today. But today I thought while we're waiting for the next video to come out on Gunship 3, I thought we'd check out this game. I haven't done it before on the channel. It's called SPACEFLIGHT SIMULATOR 1. There is a second version coming out at the minute. So basically it's a space game where you build rockets and go to different planets and stuff like that. So today there is a couple of astronauts stuck on the moon, so we've got to go try and rescue them. So at the minute you can see I'm building the crew capsule for the rescue mission. I'm trying to get this fairing to fit. At the minute it keeps clipping to the capsules and I can't get it quite right how I like it. So this rocket is, or at least the lander anyway, is sort of built in the orientation that the Saturn V was built in. So you had the crew capsule on the top and then the lander at the bottom, and you had to, once they were in orbit, they were docked, turned the crew capsule around, docked back with the lander, or the Eagle, whichever way you want to call it. So now that I've done building the crew capsule, I'm just trying to get that fuel tank to fit to the bottom just how I like it. It's still not doing it just how I'd like it to be, so I'm just checking there what it would look like if I just left it like that. This is dramatically sped up, by the way. The video is about 4 minutes long. So I'm explaining through all the way, stick with you. It's not the most action-packed video, but it did take me 37 minutes to film, and that's not including editing it or do anything else, but we're not here for that, are we? So now I'm done with the crew capsule part, so I've moved on to the lander. I'm just trying to see how it would look with windows in the lander, just for aesthetics. This isn't to do with anything, although I will need to have a crew capsule in the lander, obviously, to crew the lander. There are 2 astronauts stuck on the moon, so we're having two crew capsules. One can hold 2 people, and the other just is for aesthetics. So I just realised there that I hadn't actually attached an engine to the crew capsule. That would have been bad. I need that to get back to Earth. So I'm putting docking ports and landing legs on both the lander and the crew module, just so that they can dock together and separate more easily for when I'm in Earth orbit and moon orbit, obviously. So I'm just checking out what sort of engine I want to use here. Later on in the video, I stuck with this engine, but later on in the video, I realised I used a far too big engine for what actually needed to be done. Although it is powerful, so I didn't have to use as much fuel. Here I'm just adding the fairings to the outside of the entire module and lander section. So I'm using 8 wide fuel tanks here. And these are the most efficient engine in the game. I can't quite remember what they're called, but I always use them for interplanetary orbits. Although I had to just use them just to get into Earth orbit as well, because it's just such a heavy rocket. It used so much fuel. I used the biggest engine in the game for the bottom of the main stage 1 booster. Here I'm just building the booster rockets. So I'm using 6 wides here and curved nose cones, and of course the biggest engines and the most powerful engine in the game underneath them. I start off using all 3 engines usually, and then turn off the stage 1 engine, just because once you're high enough up, the 2 main boosters will do plenty to get you into orbit normally. So here I'm just changing the colours of the rocket, just for aesthetics. You don't want a totally white rocket, do you? I'm just going to name this R13, simply because rescue, and I was on X12, but, you know. Okay, so here I'm just testing the fairings and the engines and redocking mechanisms. Of course the parachutes as well, although I was a bit low for that, so I ended up just destroying it, but it worked well enough for my testing for real life, so here we are launching the rocket. I'm just going to rename this R13 because otherwise I'm just naming the rocket. So we're going once I'm maybe 1,000 meters, 500 meters, whatever it was, in the air, I sort of turn to the right a bit. I always launch right hand with it. I don't know why. It's just something people in this game do. You always launch right hand with it. Later on, I'll launch the left hand a little bit because I screwed up on the interplanetary orbit from Earth transfer to the moon. So I want to get to about 10 kilometers. I put a sort of shallower angle so that I can start getting that circular shape around the Earth. Now, I'll just separate the boosters, they run out of fuel. I sort of get rid of the fairings there, uncover the crew capsule. This is all in 2 times speed because it took I wouldn't have anything to talk about if it was in real time. I ran out of fuel there on the main stage 1, which I wasn't expecting to do. Normally I don't. Luckily I managed to get to low Earth orbit with minimal use of the interplanetary engines there. Here I'm docking the crew capsule and spinning it around so that I can obviously reconnect it and deorbit the lander when we get to the moon. Here I sort of messed up there. I've sort of got when I released the fairings, I released them too late, and obviously I've got to knock them out of the way in order to deorbit it. I'm not very good at docking in this game. I'm not good at docking in general, so when you're sort of in orbit, the RCS thrusters, which is what I'm using here, I'm not used to them. Luckily we did manage to get it fairly easy without too much hassle. Now I'm going to use the interplanetary engines to create an orbit to get to the moon, just time warp into the transfer window. Obviously we've got to face the rocket in the direction we're going. The plus whatever it is meters per second, 300 ms there. Just means I've got to get in 300 more meters per second in order to get to that interplanetary orbit. I sort of overshot the moon there for my liking, or undershot it, depending on which way you want to do. Here I came into the orbit a little bit late. I ended up having to do a left-hand orbit direction, simply because of just the way I slowed down when I got to the thingy. So you can see there it was swinging around the right hand side of the moon, which means I had to slow down to the left hand side. We put the rocket on a collision course with the moon so that I could separate, there it is on the left hand side there, separate with the stage 2 booster so it'd hit the moon and we'd get rid of it, which obviously reversing the collision course obviously puts us in the left hand orbit here. So we're just going to the, I think it's the apoapsis on the moon, so we can slow down and descend into a lower orbit, because when we're going back up to dock, we don't want an extremely high orbit for the crew module, because, well, otherwise it would screw us over, wouldn't it? Just going to rename the lander here. And I always create quick saves, just in case something goes wrong with the mission, and I have, for videos anyway, I always create them just to get into the habit. If anything goes wrong, I can redo the video from where I was. So I'm just de-docking the lander here just to get it out of orbit, and so we can take it back down to the astronauts on the moon. Like I said again, I used a far too bigger engine from what I needed for this mission. Probably only the second smallest in the game. I don't remember the engine names. So I'm just time warping down to the moon here because I don't need to slow down terribly. Originally I thought, oh god, I've overshot it, and then I remembered that because I'm so used to coming in from the right hand side, from the left hand side even. But obviously this time I came in from the right hand side, which I'm not used to. I did realise in the end. I just had to make do with what I had. Like I said, look, I had to put the engine so low to get a slower speed. It would have just been easier to use a smaller engine at this point. Luckily, this engine is so powerful, I just need to use hardly any fuel. This is in real time, by the way. So that triangle on the left-hand side there, that's the astronauts that we need to get to. Their rocket broke or whatever it was. I can't remember the mission brief. But I figured this out while doing this, that you can... No, I'd obviously practiced for this mission, because I hadn't done any style of this mission before. So I figured out that as you come in, it sort of lifts the orbit line up, or the trajectory up. So I can sort of use that to my advantage to get slightly closer to the moon lander. So here we are on a better approach. I sort of accidentally redid it 30 seconds, so I had to do it again. There's a reverse 30 seconds or reverse 3 minutes marker. I accidentally put the 3 minute marker, so I just sort of went back to this as close as I could, so for you guys not to notice the difference if I didn't mention it. Obviously, I know there's going to be people in the comments say, hey, you were closer to this, or you had more fuel than this, or whatever. So this time I left it much later to slow down, so that I could try and get as close as possible to that other lander. This is the X-12 lander, by the way. I name all my rockets X1, X2, X3, whatever. Simply because it's just easier, and X is obviously a familiar letter for those of you that are familiar with SpaceX. There is while we're just waiting for the landers to land, there is a SPACEFLIGHT SIMULATOR 2, which is coming in the near future. It's already available for wishlist on Steam. I don't know if it's early access or whatever yet. Not quite yet on Android and iOS, but it's basically a Kerbal Space Program on a phone. Just a lot less graphics. Obviously, because it's the early days. It is 3D, there are astronauts, you can walk around, there are interiors for the crew capsules, so it'll be much better. I might put more of this on the channel if you want to see that. I know I'm a bit more laid back for this video, so we're just coming down here onto the moon. I wasn't paying attention, I was too busy talking, but we are... The ideal speed is 2 to 3 meters per second, but because I've got such a powerful engine, I can, if I suddenly drop speed or gain speed for whatever reason, I can just whack up the speed and it'll slow it down. Obviously not whack it up, because otherwise I'll end up in orbit again. It's not an exaggeration, by the way. That has happened to me before. It was just like a 500-meter orbit. So, we've landed on the moon, and our astronauts are back on board, so we can take off again, get into an orbit, and dock with the crew capsule to take, obviously, the crew members from the lander that came down onto the moon, and the people that are already onto the moon up back to Earth. So, obviously, there I launched into a left-hand orbit, because the crew capsule was only in left-hand orbit because I came in from the right side of the moon and swinged round. Here it took me absolutely forever to get in line with the orbit, so I'm just going to show you the process. It's not pretty. By all means, it's not a smooth transition ever. I haven't done docking from different orbits before, or not for a long while. I've been playing this game for like 3 years now. 3-4 years. I did it like once when I first started the game, and then never needed to do it again, simply because I've just been trying to build bigger and better rockets to get to like Jupiter and whatnot. these are mods, by the way. I have them all simply because, well, I play this game lots, and I have made a couple of videos on it before in the past. They got like 50-something views. So, which is my average on the channel. I just want to say thanks so much for the attention on my previous video, the F5 vs MiG-21 video. Last time I checked, 150 views. I haven't got this many views since a Gunship 4 video. I don't know what it is, by the way. I've paid for that 3 times now, and I haven't been sent an email to update it or play any other aircraft. So I'm going to get in contact with Fanatec, ask for a refund. I have taken screenshots of my purchases, obviously. So just to update you all on that. Well, if nothing else works, obviously you'll just have to wait till it comes out on mobile. You'll probably have to pay for it, probably £6 or something on mobile when it comes out to the public. So I just skipped there to where we are now. It took me so long to try and get an orbit. I just thought I'd spare you the misery. So that's obviously the lander on the right hand side. I've switched to the crew capsule just because this had RCS and it'd be so much easier. I completely forgot to put RCS on everything else except for this. So I just thought it'd be so much easier to use RCS to dock with the lander than the lander's engine, massive engine, to dock with this. I might end up destroying both aircraft and killing everybody on board. Figuratively, obviously. But I ended up missing it a couple of times. Here I sort of docked with it perfectly, but with the parachutes. So, yeah, like you can tell, I'm not very good with the controls of this. I'm used to up, down is up and down, or forwards and backwards. Not left and right is forwards and backwards. We did manage to get docked into a radar, thankfully, and now we're just waiting for the crew and the lander to transfer back to the crew module. And now they're back on the crew module, we can move the crew module away from the lander and deorbit the lander for it to crash into the moon again. Now that we don't need it, there's no reason to leave space debris all over the place. Otherwise it will just obviously ruin the entire planet, wouldn't it? So there we go, that's on a collision course, and we'll never see the R-13 lander again. So now I've put it back into time-lapse, we're just going back to put it into navigation on Earth. I find moon to Earth much easier than Earth to moon. Because obviously you can just put it in a collision course with the Earth, and obviously there's the atmosphere there to slow you down. Make sure you put a heat shield on your capsule crew modules if you're going to do that. I mean, put it on there obviously anyway. So here we are, just sorting the orbit, the collision course back to Earth. I'll obviously separate the lander and the... Here we are, not in the time anymore. I'm going to separate the lander and the crew module. I'm just going to burn off some excess fuel here. I know it wouldn't really make any difference in real life, but I don't want to be coming in this fast. What is it, 2,500 meters per second or something? I can't, when I'm voicing over, I can't, the way I'm editing this, I can't see the speed. I don't want to be coming that fast, otherwise we'll shoot through the atmosphere, come out at something like 500 meters per second, and I won't be able to open my parachutes. And then we'll just slam into the other and kill everybody on board. So I just slowed down before the atmosphere there, and well, now we're in the atmosphere, and I'll shut up because it will get loud. Well, here we are, out of the atmosphere. I don't know how loud that was for you guys, but it was really loud for me. I had my headset on. You never know, maybe I'll live stream this later on. Obviously, if I'm awake, I won't be live streaming it later night with my mic. Yeah. So there we go. I've deployed the middle parachute, because if I deployed one of the other parachutes, it would become the outside one. It would become wonky, and then it'd be a mess. So I did separate the heat shield, but I don't know why it's still clinging to me. Probably because I'm moving faster than it will. The parachutes should open automatically fully below 500 meters. You can open them manually fully below 500 meters, but I don't do that because, well, it's just a bit more hassle in it. There we go, they've opened fully. And we are now returning the 2 crew members that were on the moon at the time, along with the 2 crew members that came to help them. So it's 4 total crew members returned to Earth after, well, 6 days? So probably maybe 8 days, 2 days on the moon. And there we go. Touchdown on the moon. Thanks so much for watching this video, guys. Comment down below if you enjoyed it and you want to see more. If not, I won't do more of this. Channel I know it's an aviation channel. And I'll see you in a bit. Bye-bye now.